Hello, my name is Leah Pistone and I'm an undergraduate Oscar research student studying biology at George Mason University and working with Dr. Hanley at Hanley Color Labs. This summer I am studying how birds assess the risk of brood parasitism in the wild. Brood parasites are birds that do not build their own nests or care for their young. Instead, they lay their eggs in the nests of other birds known as hosts. I am studying the parasitic brown-headed cowbird, which offloads the cost of parenting onto multiple host species. Since it is costly for hosts to rear chicks that are not their own, many hosts have evolved the ability to recognize and remove parasitic eggs from their nests. Many experiments have used egg rejection studies to test the recognition abilities of hosts. In these studies, a researcher places a replica parasite egg into host nests and then measures whether the experimental egg is rejected. However, hosts can be uncertain about whether egg rejection is a good choice. The best decision can often depend on context. Therefore, I am studying a different part of how hosts perceive risk in their environment. Specifically, my goal is to measure how hosts respond to experimental eggs when they detect a cowbird near their nest. This summer, I am placing a 3D printed female cowbird close to host nests just before parasitizing their nests, or a control experiment with no cowbird model. For this experiment, I will be analyzing the responses of 3 host species: the northern mockingbird, the northern cardinal, and the gray catbird. Hosts may respond to this experiment in 2 ways, which relate to 2 mutually exclusive hypotheses. The first hypothesis states that egg rejection becomes more likely when perceived risk is high. Thus, when hosts are alerted to the presence of their parasite, they will reject a greater portion of model eggs than the control group, because when the risk of parasitism is high, they should be on the lookout for cowbird eggs. The second hypothesis states egg rejection becomes less likely when perceived risk is high. Thus, when hosts are presented with a model cowbird near their nest, they will reject fewer model eggs than the control group because cowbirds are known to retaliate by destroying host eggs and nests. This hypothesis is fittingly called the mafia hypothesis. To test these 2 hypotheses, I first needed to make a 3D model of a cowbird. To make these cowbird models more realistic, I played cowbird calls through a speaker I hid in a speaker box camouflaged to look like the top of a wooden post. At each experimental nest, I placed the post about 12 meters away from the host bird nests. One of the most time-consuming parts of this experiment was actually finding active host nests. Every morning, I spent hours searching for host nests alongside many other student researchers. Blandy Experimental Farm graciously provided me access to their more than 700-acre property to run my research project this summer. Once we found the nests, the adult cowbird models were set up with the speakers playing the cowbird call to mimic the presence of a real cowbird. After 30 minutes, a plastic egg mimicking a real cowbird egg was placed in the host's nest, and we removed the adult cowbird model. For the following 2 days, I placed the cowbird model in the same location for 30 minutes while the calls were played before being removed. Lastly, on the 3rd day, we checked to see whether the plastic egg was accepted or rejected. We have just finished collecting data and will start analyzing the results soon. Stay tuned to see what we learned.